Hello students. So this is the fourth lecture of the module 3 in continuation with the IEEE 802.11. In the previous lecture you have studied the architecture about the BSS, ESS and also the station types based on their mobility. So today's class will study about the MAC sublayer. So MAC we know is the media access control sublayer of it's a sublayer of the data link layer. Why media access control? Because we are going for a multiple access protocol, since in as you can understand wireless protocol will be using your air as the media, and usually so most of the time simultaneously many stations will be accessing the same media. So we need to understand or the MAC sublayer, and IEEE 802.11 has further divided the MAC sublayer into two protocols. So we'll see about this in the lecture. So today, today we'll be studying this part of the IEEE 802.11 IEEE 802.11, which defines or deals with the wireless LAN. So what you see in this slide is the MAC layers in the IEEE 802.11 standard. So here in this figure, you can see both the data link layer and the physical layer. So the data link layer, as you know, is divided into two sublayers, that is the link layer control sublayer and the media access control sublayer. So the media access control sublayer deals with the multiple access protocol, which you have already studied in module 2. So here for the IEEE 802.11, the MAC sublayer has got again two protocols or layers, that is the PCF or the point coordination function and the DCF, that is the distributed coordinated function. So the DCF or the distributed coordinating function, it is giving the contention service. So what is contention service? Can you recall from module 2? So that is your random access service. So that is given by the DCF, and your contention free service, that is nothing but your controlled access, is given by the PCF. Then the physical layer, we will be seeing this in the fourth lecture of IEEE 802.11. So that will not touch now. So in this lecture, we'll be seeing basically the PCF and DCF, how it gives the contention free service and the contention service respectively. So what you see here, the IEEE 802.1, that is nothing but the working group of IEEE 802 project of the IEEE Standards Association. So basically, don't get confused. So this is IEEE 802.11 of the LLC sublayer. So that is nothing but actually in under IEEE Standard Association. It's a group or a working group which basically is concerned with the LAN, MAN architecture, and the internetworking among the IEEE 802 LAN, SWANs, etc. So anyway, we are mainly focusing on the MAC sublayer, that is the PCF and the DCF, providing the contention free and the contention service respectively. So DCF, so that is the first thing you'll see now. So, or the distributed coordination function. So you have already studied the contention service, which is the CSMSCA. So the DCF uses the CSMSCA method as the access method. All right. So I'm not going to talk about CSMSCA here much because you already know it. It's the same thing. So what we do, consider this example, a rough recap. So related to the time frame, the frame exchange over the various timeline. So that is what is seen here. So basically first any station, if it wants to send its frame to any other station, so what should it do in when it's using a multiple access protocol or the media access protocol? So what it should do, first it should in CSMSCA, it will use any one of the persistent strategy. Then after that it will wait for a time known as a DIFS. What is DIFS? That is the DCF interframe space. So now you know what is the DCF. So it is actually one of the protocol under the MAC sub layer. So then you have the request to send. So that is sent to the B, and that waits for another SIFS, that is the short interference space, to give a signal called as a clear to send to the back to the source. This is given by the destination back to the source, and then you have again the short interframe space, and then the data is sent to the destination, and after another SIFS the acknowledgement is sent back sent to the source. And during the time when data is being sent between from A to B, we should see through that NAV sent from B to all other stations, so that during that network allocation vector, that's the duration of time, no other stations are accessing the channel. So this is just a recap. You can please refer back to the lecture on CSMA which is already being taught, and you may be aware. So when we speak of CSMA we speak of all this. So that's the same thing that is provided by the distributed coordinated function. So please recall this. So the frame exchange timeline we just saw in the previous slide, and network allocation vector we already spoke again. You can also quickly recap what is the hidden station problem in the previous lectures, and also you know about collision that can happen during handshake. So this also we have already dealt in the CSMA. So it would be a repeat if it is done again. So please recall back in CSMA lecture. So here let us mainly focus on PCF, that is a point coordination function. Actually, a point coordination function is an optional access method. So, and please note that it can be implemented only in the infrastructure network, which consists of your access point. So, and not in an ad hoc network. And in case there is a PCF, then it is implemented on top of the DCF. The meaning is that it has a higher priority over DCF. So in case any of the station is using the PCF protocol of the MAC sublayer, then it has got higher priority over the station which is using the DCF. And PCF is used very rarely, or it's an optional method, and it uses the controlled access technique, that is the contention free service, which you already saw in the previous one of the slide related to the MAC sub layer. So only if there is a time sensitive transmission, then only can you go for this thing, what is that, PCF. But previously the DCF, that is the distributed coordination function, it uses the CSMA which is a random access protocol or the contention service, right? Okay. And here since it is a contention free service, it has a centralized contention free polling access method. So please recall, it's a polling access method. This is already studied in module 2. You have studied various controlled access techniques like reservation, polling, token passing, etc. So here it uses the polling access method. And here when you speak of polling, you should have something known as the primary station, correct? And rest all stations are the secondary station. So here the AP, what is AP? It is a access point, right? So we, as I told you just now, only the infrastructure network, which is nothing but the network which has the access point, only that can be use PCF. So AP, since it is using the polling access method, only AP, that is access point, it will be behaving like the primary station, and that is the one which performs the polling for the station. So suppose there is a station A or B or C, it will do the necessary polling as you have studied in the previous lecture. So that will behave like the primary station. And the stations which are polled, so you know that one after other it will keep asking which station wants to get the priority. So that is checked by the AP. So they are polled one after the other, and any data that has to be sent, they have to be communicated or sent through the AP. It has to be sent to the AP. So this is about the PCF. So to repeat, so PCF can be used only in an infrastructure network, and it has a higher priority over DCF. And here it's a contention free method, and hence it uses the polling access method of the contention free technique. And here the AP behaves like the primary station. So stations are polled one after the other by the AP. So basically here, just like if you can recall in DCF, that is distributed coordination function, you had your DIFS, you had your SIFS. What is DIFS? That is the DCF interframe space. then you had the SIFS, that is the short interframe space. Just like that, in PCF you have something known as the PCF interframe space, that is nothing but the PIFS. So this is defined, so this is another interframe space, and this is defined such that the PCF is given a priority over DCF, and this PCF, that is a PIFS, that is PCF IFS. P stands for PCF, that is the point coordination function. It is short compared to the DIFS, that is the distributed coordination functions interface space. Since it is short, this short duration compared to the DFS makes PCF given a priority over the DCF. So just remember this, that just like how DCF has got two short interframe space, that is the DIFS and the SIFS, here PCF also has a interframe space, a frame interframe space, that is the PIFS, and this PIFS is very short compared to the one by the DCF, that is the DIFS. So thus giving PCF given a priority over DCF. Okay, this it's a very simple fact here, and with the help of another repetition interval you'll get to know how this is carried out. So just imagine now, since PCF is given a priority over DCF, what could be the issue? So suppose there are stations which keep us using PCF, then stations which are using DCF may never be able to access the medium. So this becomes a problem or an issue. So because of the priority of PCF over DCF, few stations which may be using DCF will not be able to gain any access to the media. So to prevent such a problem or an issue, we use something known as a repetition interval. So in a repetition interval, so this interval sees through that both the PCF and the DCF, that is stations which use PCF and the stations which use DCF, are fit in this interval called as a repetition interval, so that stations which are using the DCF will not be left out. So this repetition interval is designed so that it covers both the PCF as well as the DCF traffic. Alright, so let us see this with the help of a diagram or an example. So here is an example of a repetition interval. So you can see here, this is one interval. So this is in time. So the x-axis is time here. So you can see this is the time in x-axis. So in repetition interval, you have both the contention free and the contention based service, both to be included in the repetition interval. So as you know, the PCF is given priority over DCF. So AP, so it uses the polling technique. So it will, so the AP, it will send so consider the y-axis where the stations are there, where the stations. So AP will give something known as the, as I told you before, the PIFS. What is PIFS? That is the PCF interframe space. So suppose now this is the station that is polled. Okay, so this is the polled station. So it sends that PIFS to that, and during that a small frame known as the beacon frame. So B is known as the beacon frame. So B stands for the, so whatever legends are used, that is mentioned in this block here in the legend. So let me start over again. So AP has sent a duration known as the PIFS. So as soon as the PIFS is given, so this PIFS is shorter than your other DIFS. So automatically this AP takes the priority since it is using the PCF. So during this time, to prevent any other station from using the DCF, a frame known as the beacon frame is sent. When a beacon frame is sensed by the station, all the stations will use the network allocation vector. So what is network allocation vector? Can you recall? So this is nothing but the time duration or a timed vector during which the AP and the pole station will be communicating. In this example, basically, actually an NAV is to give a time restriction to all the other stations, telling that the media is getting accessed by some other station. So you have better you don't access the station, or else it may lead to collision. So this is a kind of information that NAV says. So basically it is blocking any other station from using the media, right? So that is the general understanding of a NAV. So as soon as this beacon frame is getting sent, so all other stations except the pole station, so we'll use the, so will be blocked by the NAV. So then the, as usual, just like your DCF, the LCS MSCA, similar to that here, using the polling technique. So first so since PIFS is sent, then the beacon is sent, so then you start. So what you start, so then use the short interframe space, okay. And after the short interframe space, the poll. So what it will do, the AP will now poll. Actually now it would have polled the polled station. So it will ask for the poll. So after the short interframe space, the polled station will send the acknowledgement plus data. So basically here we should understand that it can use a process of piggybacking. That is, the poll station can send the data as well as any acknowledgement of the previous communication. Basically here you should understand that communication can takes place. So the data can be sent from the poll station to the AP. That is nothing but your polling access method. So acknowledgement is nothing but the, here you're using piggybacking. So just to understand that here data can be sent, and then after that the AP will wait for another SIFS, and again the acknowledgement plus poll can be sent to some other it can poll some other station and so on. And this can continue during the interval of contention free interval of the repetition interval, and then it sends a frame that is known as the CF, that is a contention free end frame, during which the contention free or the PCF should the station, that is the AP which is using the PCF, should stop. And then your normal, in this interval, your contention based service, that is your DCF used, the station which is using the DCF can uh, continue, or it can take the priority. So to summarize, a repetition interval will have an interval allotted for contention free service using the PCF, as well as the contention service based service used by the DCF. So during the contention free service, to understand that all other stations to stop by using the media, a beacon frame is sent. And the normal, just understand that a normal framing, that frame exchange takes place between the AP and the poll station using your normal polling access method, and here piggybacking can take place. And we should understand that the NAV is vector is sent to all other stations, just to prevent the stations from using the media. That's all. So that is the summary of this repetition interval. So this slide is telling the same thing what I have explained in the previous slide. So you can just go through this slide later. So now coming to the next topic on fragmentation. So what is this fragmentation? Why we need fragmentation? What is fragmentation basically? If you have a big frame, you have to split it or cut it into small frames. So usually this wireless environment is very noisy, often subjected to attenuation, then distortion, and so on and so forth. You have seen the attributes or the properties of the wireless environment. So basically there is high chance that the frames are getting corrupted, and if the frames are corrupted and it is received at the receiver, then it will tell the transmitter to retransmit. So if at all the frame is very large, retransmitting will be a problem. So what the protocol recommends is fragmentation. That is, instead of retransmitting large frames, suppose the large frame was divided into small frames, then retransmitting a smaller corrupted frame is much efficient than retransmitting a larger frame. So before going to the next lecture on addressing mechanism, let us first understand what is the frame format present in the MAC layer. So this, what you can see in this slide, is the frame format. So the MAC layer frame consists of 9 fields. So the 9 fields are the frame control, that is the FC. D stands for the duration of access. Then you have 4 address lines, that is the address line 1, the address line 2, the address line 3, and the address line 4. And you have a bit known as the SC field. And then you have the main frame body. Okay, that is the actual frame actually. Okay, and then you have the FCS. So FCS is mainly dealing with the CRC error checking. Okay, again this FC, this field, so actually the number of bytes of each field is denoted up. So the FC is 2 bytes long, the D is 2 bytes long, the address one is 6 bytes long, 6. So all the address uh, fields are 6 bytes long, and so on. So all the fields are denoted here. So again this FC, which is of 2 bytes, is again divided into these many fields. So that is the protocol version, the type, the subtype, to DS, from DS, whether more fragments should be done, whether it should retry. So all these are again the subfields of the FC field. So we'll get some more idea of this shortly. So coming to the first, that is the frame control. So you saw in the previous slide, the first field was the FC, or the frame control field. So the frame control field is 2 bytes long, which you already saw. Okay. So what does this denote? So this FC field consists of again so many subfields. Okay. So what are the different subfields in the FC field? Let us see. So the first subfield in the FC was the version. So currently the version used is 0, and suppose any new versions come, this field can be updated. The next speaks about the type. What is type? A frame can be of 3 types actually. It can be a management frame, it can be a control frame, or it can be a data frame. These 3 we will see soon. Then we will speak of the subtype. What is a subtype? So actually this field is of 4 bits, and it can have 3 values, that is 1011, 11, as you can see below in the below of this slide. I am circling it, the values. So it can be 1011, 1100, and 1101. So 1011 means it's an RTS frame, and 1100 means it's a CTS frame, and 1101 means it's an acknowledgement frame. So just to denote that, we have this subtype. The next field is the 2DS. DS means your distributed system, right? So you remember in the ESS, the architecture, I have told two things, that is the basic service set and the extended service set. And in the extended service set, what did we see? We saw that there is something known as the distribution system. So to DS and from DS. Okay. So we will see this actually in the addressing mechanism in the next lecture. So DS stands actually for the distribution system. Okay. So then more fragments. What is meant by more fragment? As you know, we have to go for fragmentation, right? So if at all this field is set to 1, means after this frame, one more frame is there. That means still more fragments the receiver should wait for. That's what it means. Retry means this frame is, if it is this value set to 1, means that this frame is a repetition, or it's a retransmitted frame. That means previously the same frame was sent and it was corrupted, and you have asked the sender to retransmit. So if this field is set to 1, it means that it is a retransmitted frame. And the next field is the subfield is on power management, that is PWRMGT. So as you know that power management during transmission is very important, and if this is set to 1, it means that the power management mode is on. And more data means, see, it's not that only one frame is divided into many frames. There may be many frames as such, not just the fragments of the frame, many frames. So when this frame is set to 1, it means that the station still has more frames to come, and the receiver can expect still more data to be sent. So if this is set to 1, if this is set to 0, means this is the last frame fragment that is being transmitted from the station. The next subfield stands for WEP. It's a encryption method, that is a wired equivalent privacy. It's the wired equivalent privacy is the type of encryption used. Will not dig much into it. And the RSVD is a reserved frame bit. Okay, so this also will not worry much now. So this again, this is just this is the same frame format which we saw previously, and we finished seeing the FC, which was again, which had again so many subfields which we already saw. Now let's go to the second one, that is the D. Again, this D field is of 2 bytes. So basically this D defines the duration of transmission that is used, and it is to set the basically what is the duration of time during which uh, the communication takes place between the transmitter and the receiver. That is nothing but the time set. What is that? The network allocation vector. So this is the time set during which the transmission takes place between the current sender and the receiver, which is accessing the channel, which has got the permission to access the channel, right? So it defines the idea of the frame. In case, see, I told you that there are three types of frames, that is the management frame, the control frame, and the uh, management frame, control frame, and the data frame, right? So here, in case it's a control frame, then the ID of the frame has to be defined in the D field. Okay. Coming to the next, that is the addresses. As you can see here, there are four address fields, each of 6 bytes, right? So address field 1, address field 2, address field 3, and then you have the address field 4. All these are 6 bytes long, and depending on to DS and from DS subfield of the FC, these four address lines are defined. I'll repeat. You have seen in the FC that there is a subfield known as to DS, and there is another subfield known as from DS. I told you that DS stands for distribution system. Okay, so depending on this to DS and the from DS of the FC subfield, these four address fields are defined, and you will see this in detail in the next lecture on addressing mechanism. Then the SC field. So next you have the SC field, which is 2 bytes long. So this SC nothing means that it is a sequence control, or basically we call it as the SC field, and it defines it's actually a 16-bit value. This 16-bit in which the first 4 bits defines the fragment number. As you know, fragmentation calls for many fragmenting. We should know now which fragment number is this now. So the first 4 bits of the 16 bits defines the fragment number. So next remaining the 12 bits, it will define the sequence number, and this is same in all the fragments, but it will vary in the different frames. Fragment is a part of a big frame, so a big frame can be divided into fragments, and all the fragments will have the same sequence number. That means if some fragments are coming and the sequence number are same, that means it belongs to the same frame. Okay, but the first 4 bits will define which fragment number it is, and it is different for different fragment. Okay, then you have the frame body, which consists of the actual data. Okay, and this can be starting from 0 bytes to 2312 bytes. So the next field is the FCS. What is FCS? So basically the FCS is 4 bytes long, and basically it's used for the CRC32 error detection is defined in this. So basically this byte is used, this field is used for defining the error control, that is the CRC32, uh, which again we are not going to touch much upon it now, but you should understand that it is a CRC32 which is a error detection denoting field, that is the FCS. I told you in the FC field of the FC had got many subfields, right? In that I told that the sub type depends on whether it's a management frame, control frame, or the data frame. So basically there are three categories of frames defined under the IEEE 802.11. The first one is the management frame. So management frames means what? Initially, there should be some communication between the station and the access point. So for initial communication between the station and the managed access point, the frame used is known as a management frame. Basically, it may not have much data to communicate, just it is used for initial communication. Then we have the control frame. As the name suggests, this is used for accessing the channel and controlling that. Okay, and if there are some acknowledgement, so for such frames we are using the something known as the control frame. Then the data frame is the one which will be actually carrying the data and the some control information. So it could be for data and some other control information along with the data if it has to carry. So then such a frame is known as the data frame. So you can see below here the control frames. Suppose if it is an RTS, so I think can obviously understand that RTS, CTS or ACK, that is the RTS is the request to send, CTS is the what is that? So that is the clear to send. Then the ACK stands for the acknowledgement. Okay. So these control frames you can see in this below. So for the RTS, this is how the frame format will be, and the CTS or acknowledgement, this is how the frame format will be. So you can see here that all the fields are not present here. So only FCD, address lines and FCS is there. So no data is needed, right? It's a control frame. So here also, so here only address field 1 is there and FCD and FCS for a CTS. For a CTS, you can see only address 1 is there and no data is needed here. So many of the fields are not present in the control frame. So today basically in this lecture we have studied about the MAC sublayer, that is the DCF and the PCF. Then we saw why fragmentation is important. Then we saw about the frame format of the MAC sublayer. In the PCF and DCF, what did we see? That that is the PCF is related to the polling method and DCF is related to the CSMA CA. So the CSMA CA of the DCF you already know, that is the DCF uses the CSMA CA. So all these details you already know. In PCF, that is you are using something known as the P interframe space, that is a PCF interframe space. And since PCF has priority over DCF, you saw through that you should use something known as the repetition interval. And then you have understood why fragmentation is important, and also you understood the various fields present in the frame format of the MAC 802.11 project. So next class or the next lecture you will be studying about the addressing mechanism, in which you should recall that FC had a subfield, that is the to DS and the from DS, and also there are four address bytes, that is address byte four address fields, that is address 1, address 2, address 3 and address 4. If you can recall this fields in the next lecture, it will be better. Okay, so with this we'll wind up this lecture. Thank you.